Hey guys, it's Size, and today I wanted to make a video to specifically go over the new ring that was brought in at the end of patch 10.07 and is the primary focus going into 10.1 in terms of power scaling. This is of course the Onyx Annulet. Now, it's safe to say that after weeks of fleeting nerfs, changes and buffs to the ring and all of its gems, it's now the time to bring out this quick little guide and a little bit of insight into how we're going to be using the ring and the different gems involved as a Shadow Priest. Now, just to preface this, I do not make any of the simulation crafts, and I do not even know how to make them aside from simming my own character. And that's always what is advised. I always advise you guys to go and sim your own character, sim your gear, sim your Onyx Amulet to see what best selection of DPS you can get from those gems. So feel free to use that raid bot if you want a more accurate representation of what you should be doing, and I'll link that in the description down below because I do know a lot of my viewers don't actually use these programs, you don't use the website, and it's a nice little way to get into min-maxing your character a little bit more. And I do that pretty much every single week whenever I get a new piece of loot dropping from the vault or from a raid, or even from keys, depending on what it is. I sim that just to make sure that I know what I should be aiming for going forward. Now, looking at the gems, the best performing combination of gems at the moment is currently looking to be less than a 1% damage increase in comparison to a 418 crafted ring on any given single target encounter. This does mean that whilst it might not be strong at the minute, there is still room for it to be buffed going into the next patch, and you still might get some use out of this ring, especially if you're just starting to gear up now. You know, you've just leveled your priest, so you've got a little bit of gear. It gives you access to a 424 item level ring, and some free damage from the on-use effects of the gems that you're going to be soxing in. So, after all the changes have taken place in the buffs and the nerfs, the current best setup for single target for Shadow is as follows. You want to be getting your hands on the Desirous Bloodstone, looking for a Freezing Ice Stone and a Prophetic Twilight Stone as well. As mentioned earlier, however, this is only worth using in full single target scenarios. Any additional targets that are brought in will make the ring drop in effectiveness drastically, and that's the point where you ideally want to be using your two crafted rings. Now, I know this isn't easily accessible for everybody. A lot of people don't do plus 16s, a lot of people don't farm them anywhere near enough to get 418 crafted pieces, but you do still have time to get these before the next patch. And it might be really worth you going and doing that, because next patch, as soon as the servers come up live, your 418 crafted pieces are going to be transferred into 421. And that means it'll carry over any sockets that you've got, which you're guaranteed with the rings anyway, and your lariat, which is also having those 3 sockets, that's also going to increase an item level as well. Now, Public, the Shadow Priest Theory Crafter and Simulations Craft Expert, stated that the results for our generic sims with a 424 Onyx Amulet, which is also being compared to a 418 crafted ring in these sims, mean that you're gaining on pure single target up to about 0.7% DPS gain from your Freezing Ice Stone. However, going into 2 targets, you're going to be losing about 1% DPS with a Storm Infused Stone, which is the stone that most people are using in keys and AoE scenarios. And going even further than that, on 4 targets, if you use a Pestilent Plague Stone, you're going to be dropping 1.5% DPS. So I'll put this up on the screen for you now, and the stone that have the brackets indicate means that that's the 3rd stone that they're using in the sims that are being paired with your Prophetic Twilight Stone and your Desirous Bloodstone. Because no matter what scenario you find yourself in, as a Shadow Priest, you're always going to want to be using those 2 stones. Now, if you really want to use the ring in Mythic Plus, which is fine, especially if you're still gearing up, I would suggest using the Freezing or Storm Infused Stone, but generally speaking, you will still get better results from up to a 405 to a 418 crafted ring in Mythic Plus, because you're still going to be dropping a bunch of haste and mastery from those crafted rings to make use of these stones. And that's kind of the big trade-off, right? You're trading off up to 450 in haste and mastery on a ring that you craft for there's no secondary stat ring that has some gems in, but it's completely up to you. I would still advise using it, especially if you're just gearing up now and you don't have access to a 418, but you might still want to craft a 418 if you get the chance, and especially having 2 of them if you can. Now, if any of you guys want to specifically test things out for yourselves in terms of using Simulation Craft or using the Priest version of it, Public did also give us a Simulation Craft string for us to use freely, and I'll put this in the description down below, just so you guys know you can copy and paste it and you can sim your own character and see what gems were spec for you. So, just to clarify and kind of pull it all together, the gems that you want to be looking at and focusing on upgrading through your Public work orders are are right now as follows: Desirous Bloodstone, Freeze and Ice Stone, and Prophetic Twilight Stone. However, if you are looking to ensure that you're as prepared as possible for any future tuning heading into the next patch 10.1, I would strongly advise that you still attempt to gather all of the gems that you can from the vaults and level them all up appropriately, depending on what you are looking at doing. For example, if you're looking more at doing Mythic Plus, you might want to start leveling up your Storm Infused Stone, because that's the one that you're going to be using in AoE or Mythic Plus. But that's kind of up to you, and you've got to use your own initiative with that. But with that, guys, this was my quick little overview and insight into how we use the Onyx Annulet as a Shadow Priest. I hope you find this remotely useful. And with that, once again, I credit Public with all the simulation craft work. I'm just reporting in on it and putting this video out for you guys, but he did all of the work. That being said, I hope you have a lovely day or evening wherever you are in the world. Feel free to like and subscribe for more Shadow content, and take care.